to Dylan versus Dylan podcast. It's been a little bit since I posted an episode, but as you know, so much going on, still quarantining and chilling. Um, but today I want to talk about the balancing act. This is all about what it takes to really keep this house going, make things work, and just survive every day in my organized chaos, as I like to call it. So, I spoke last time about the whole daycare process and, just trying to go back to work. And at this point in time, obviously, I've gone back to work and, just still trying to find my way and find how things are going to be and what's the schedule going to be like. The babies are still, at this point, they were still, eating, drinking their bottle every 3 to 4 hours. And so still just trying to manage that, still trying to be a mom to my other 3 children who are older and trying to still like cater to their needs and be for them the mother that I was prior to, pregnancy. And all of that is hard. Oh, and let's not forget, I still got to be a good wife, still kind of perform all my wifely duties, whatever those are for us. That's what I still have to do. And so it does get really, really exhausting. It is hard to balance, especially when I first went back to work. I would feel guilty about staying over work an extra 15, 20, 30 minutes. Just because, my travel from Virginia, back on this side of town, I would always have to factor that in. And I had this guilt as well about the daycare. Like, I never wanted the babies to be there longer than they had to. So I would drop them off between, 7:30 in the morning. And, I want to be back by a specific time because I just don't want them to be at the daycare for those, that long period of time. But I also was very territorial over, who's going to pick them up. As you know, we got 2 car seats, two bases because of the babies. My husband has bases in his car, so he could pick them up as well. But I dropped them off and I picked them up. And not because my husband didn't want to, but I just felt more comfortable with picking them up every day, because making sure that all their bottles came back, all their clothes came back, really analyzing how their day went, speaking with their teachers or their providers about what are the new things that they did today, just all those little questions. And the center that they go to, they use an app, so I could see all throughout the day like what they're doing every hour, whatever it is that they're doing. I know what they're doing, so I felt pretty good about that. But it's still having that human contact with the provider to say, hey, like, what happened? Tell me, what do you see? What are you noticing? Anything you feel like we need to change or work on, and things like that. So yeah, I was probably a bit of a control freak, and I'm still a control freak about dropping them off and picking them up, even though right now they're not at daycare. They're home with me while we're going through this pandemic. But so that probably was a lot. And so what happens is I would have to call my mom, who lives not that far from me, and say, hey, can you meet me at the daycare at this time, because I need you to help me pick up the babies. Because Jada would have practice, cheerleading practice, or step practice. So when she didn't have practice, I would go pick her up and then take her with me. But I always had to have somebody with me, because it's very hard trying to get them together and bring them out and put them in the car and load up and everything by yourself. Even with dropping them off, Jada would always help me in the mornings drop them off. But there are many times that I've done drop off and pick up by myself, which is a lot, and it can be very, 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 very stressful. Being Shira, carrying in 2 car seats every morning, and the baby bag, and just trying to do all of that, make sure they're good, and then put my mind at ease and then go to work. So I know these are things that any parent really goes through, whether you have multiples or not. It's just always, you always feel something when you drop off or pick up your children, no matter what's going on in your life. You just want to know that they're okay, everything's okay, and not be worried about that. So yeah, I wanted to be involved in that process. So that's pretty much what I still continue to do. So then, getting home, getting them in the house, changing diapers, and trying to figure out like this whole cooking thing. Like, I pretty much did majority majority of the time prior to having them. I always like to say Fridays is my night off for cooking. We like to eat out. Saturdays we kind of eat out too, but sometimes we'll have like something light, you know, that I could throw on the George Foreman grill or something. And then Sundays would always be a big dinner, and then all the rest of the week I would cook. But having these twins, let me tell you something. Cooking, I don't have the energy for it no more. Like, it's just not in me the way that it was. And it's not because I don't want to eat, because I'm a foodie. I like to eat. I want the fried chicken, the steak, the pork chops. I want it all. But it is exhausting. So I found myself, you know, ordering out a lot. I found myself at the Outback all the time, or Jasper's or somewhere, ordering takeout because, or in somebody's drive-through, because it takes so much energy to do all of these things. And when I would come home and cook, I feel like it's time taken away from the babies. Like, I want to be on the floor rolling around playing with them or looking at them, staring in their eyes. But I can't do that if I'm cooking, so I'm trying to balance it out. You know, I'm sitting them in their carriers or high chair or swings or whatever it is I got to use to keep them busy while I'm trying to cook, or get somebody to help me watch them. And it's a lot. So I know I'm probably, you know, slipping a little bit in the cooking department, but we still eating good over here though. You can't tell anybody miss no meals. But, you know, I would like to get back to being able to cook a little bit more, but it's still exhausting, you know. It's been a little bit better. It has been better since I've been home, working from home, and this pandemic is going on. Especially in the beginning of the pandemic, I wasn't ordering out or going and picking up anything because I just didn't even want to leave the house. So yeah, I found myself going to the grocery store and spending so much money on groceries, and coming back home and cooking. So, you know, right now it's okay, but it still has a level of, you know, exhaustion. We're just trying to, you know, keep those things going. And then, you know, my daughter Amari was playing basketball, so I was trying to go see her games and support her. So we were going as a family. I would have the twins. I would walk in the games, and I would have two carriers, and you know, Jada would help me, and sometimes my husband would go. And so that was a lot too. Just, you know, and when they have games and stuff, you know, obviously there's no cooking either. We're gonna stop and get something, and that's just gonna be it. So I went through that whole thing, and then Jada with her step practice and step performances. So, you know, I found myself getting home later, even later with that. So it is just a lot, like being a working mom and trying to still be everything for everybody and still be something for yourself. It's hard to balance. So I found myself going into like just a zone sometimes where you become a little numb. Like, and don't get me wrong, like, I love my life. I have no complaints whatsoever. This is what I wanted. I wanted more children. I wanted a bigger family. But it is a lot to do, and I think that sometimes people don't realize how much it is. I think being the mom of the house, sometimes I do feel taken for granted a little bit by everybody, because they're so used to me doing so much that I feel like it's expected, right? So if I say I'm tired, people are looking at me like, what you mean you tired? And some of that maybe is my fault, because I'm always She-Ra all the time, and then when I finally have a breakdown, they're looking at me like, what's the issue? What's going on? But yeah, I'm tired as hell. Like, I'm tired. I haven't slept since real good, since even before, like, beginning of my pregnancy. I haven't slept good since then. So I think sometimes, you know, they forget that, right? Because, you know, I'm the one that wakes up early in the morning with the babies all the time. You know, I'm the one up late if they don't want to fall asleep. My husband rolls over and his ass is snoring. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there flipping channels, patting babies on the back, like, okay, go to sleep, lay your head down, night, night. You know, and sometimes it's 10 o'clock at night. Sometimes it's 1 o'clock in the morning. It just depends on what's going on that day. And then my mind finally rests. You know, there's sometimes waking up, like even right now to this day, they still wake up at 2 and 3 in the morning, not for any bottles or anything like that, but just waking up because they maybe weren't positioned right, or, you know, Hayes and his pacifier, and then Harper sleeps wild and she's kicking us in the face. Oh, because I didn't say that. Yes, they do sleep in the bed with us. When I first brought them home, they were sleeping in. We have 2 pack and plays in our room. And, you know, pack and plays are basically playpens. And so Harper sleeps in one, Hayes sleeps in another. And they slept in there probably a little longer, a little more when they were younger than what they are now. So I think that you know, it was okay, but they were still waking up like every 3 hours for their bottle. So when they would wake up, I would give them a bottle, try to give them together, and put them right back down to sleep. But now, as they've gotten a little older, they wake up not for a bottle, but just wake up because they realize I start them off putting them down in the pack and play, and every night they end up in the bed with us. It's very rare that they spend a whole entire night in in their pack and play. They're in between us. They do have 2 cribs in their room. And they've only slept in there probably one night, and that was painful, actually, not just for me but for my husband. He said that he just kept worrying about them because they were all the way down the hall. We had the monitor, I could listen to them, I could hear them, got all of that, but we've become so accustomed to them being in a room with us that it's just, everybody's just comfortable with that. So yeah, you know, between getting kicked in the face at night, you know, kicked in the eye, kicked in the head, you know, kicked in the stomach, or just them waking up and just, even though they sleep in the bed with us, they still wake up and whine sometimes in the middle of the night for various different reasons. And I have to console them and get them back to sleep. My husband never seems to really hear this kind of stuff. And I don't know, ladies, you tell me, like, do your husbands hear these things? Have they heard these things? It's amazing how they tune these things out. Next morning I'm waking up, I'm like, oh, you slept good. And my husband's like, yeah, I did. I said, yeah, because Harper woke up and she was, oh yeah, really? Yeah, I didn't know. You didn't hear that? Meanwhile, I'm like, okay, I'm tired. So I have gotten a lot better about saying, hey, listen, if they've woken up at 4 and 5 in the morning and they're up and I know I'm still tired, when he gets up, I'm like, okay, all right, you're not doing anything today. Hey, let's take him downstairs, let's feed him breakfast, and I'm going back to bed. I need a couple of hours of sleep. And my husband's very good about that piece of it. You know, he's very good father, very good husband. But sometimes I do need a little extra, like, okay, I didn't really sleep last night, so you won't have to let me get my sleep. I need you to relieve me, or I just need some alone time. I've gotten better about saying, okay, I just need a moment, and it's okay. It's okay. I recognize now that it is okay for me to say I need a moment, and I think that's a part of the balancing act too, right? You got to know when you reach your breaking point, and I know a lot of us maybe have issues just saying that we're even close to a breaking point, but you got to know when you're getting there so that you can raise your hand and ask for help, whether it be from, you know, your parent, your spouse, you know, your children, whatever support system you have, therapy, counseling, whatever. Listen, I got a therapist. I'm not afraid to say I got a therapist. I got a therapist, and I talk to her for a multitude of different reasons. But I also talk to other moms. I'm also in a twin group on Facebook where, you know, women have, you know, twins of all different ages, and they just discuss how it is raising 2 babies at one time. Because I tell you, people have a lot of advice for me, and I'm not going to say that I don't like want to hear it, because that's probably a little harsh to say I don't want to hear it. But it's hard for you to tell me what I need to be doing when I have 2 babies and you've never been in that experience. Now, those moms that have raised twins or have twins, we can kind of compare, we can take notes, and, you know, we can have that dialogue. But for people that haven't, I don't want to hear it. I mean, we're talking about 2 babies over 1 baby, and all children are different, period. So, you know, I don't want to be lectured about my baby sleeping in the room with me. No, I don't want to be lectured about when I'm going to potty train them. No, I don't want to be lectured about when they're going to come off a pacifier. No. Let's see. What are some of the other things? I just don't want to be lectured about anything. If I want someone's opinion, I'll ask. But if it's not solicited, I don't need it. I'm going through this journey and I'm figuring things out as I go. And raising them is completely different than it was raising Bria, Amari, and Jada. And even raising them as singular babies, they were all 3 different babies. These babies are just different. They have their own personalities. They have a life, they're living a life of their own. They're really coming into themselves, their personalities and everything. They're very much alike, which is the Dylan versus Dylan, but they're also very different. And so I'm pacing myself with the things that I do, and how, you know, you only get one time to do this thing with each child that you have, right? You can always do it again if you have more. But with that particular child, this is the one time you get to do it with that child. And so that's what I'm doing. And so whatever works for me to figure that out, to balance out my life, you know, that's what I do. You know, even like doing real estate, you know, being out the house and going and showing people homes and stuff and trying to work that around the babies. And me and my husband have a good system. My girls help me a lot when I need to get out and I need to do things. I will say that I haven't had a lot of adult time, and it's not because I probably couldn't have had it. I just didn't want to. I just didn't feel the need to go out. And as crazy as it seems, like, you know, wanting a vacation, like I want to go on vacation, but I actually want to take the babies with me. Like, we went to Vegas last year as a family vacation, and the babies went, because that's where I'm at. I'm not at a point that I want to leave them with anybody. And obviously I trust my family, I trust my mom and my aunts and cousins and stuff like that, but I'm just not there. And it's okay. That's what works for me. And then you have some moms that are like, hell no, if somebody said they're gonna keep these babies, I'm gonna drop them off and I ain't never coming back. And that's cool too, if that works for you. But I think that we all just have to figure out what it takes, right? And just knowing when you've had enough, knowing when you need a break, knowing when you can't balance it, because it is a balancing act. And I think the scales always tip up and down, up and down, up and down. I think some weeks are better than others, some days are better than others. I do the best that I can, and my goal is to each day, you know, make it a better day than it was yesterday. If I can do that, then that's okay. The good thing is that you know, they're healthy. They haven't had any hospitalizations or, you know, major illnesses outside of when they were first born in the NICU. Outside of that, you know, they've been really good. I've been really, really blessed, and I just wanted to continue. But I do know that I do want to get back to the Brandy that does go out and hang out sometimes, and I'm slowly getting there. But with the pandemic, that kind of like damaged everything. But I do want to do better with probably having a little bit more adult time, and, you know, having a few more drinks, not just sitting at home having a glass of wine by myself, but or with my husband, but just going out with my girlfriends and talking. I think those things are good to do. Whatever it is that you need to do, you know, is good for you. But balancing is hard. Work, home, you know, activities, you know, if you cook, if you don't cook, just trying to take care of the house. I know that my house, you know, it takes a village to keep this house clean, and sometimes there's stuff everywhere, and I might beat myself up about it, but then I have to realize, like, it's okay. You're only human, right? You got double the clothes to wash now. You had double the bottles to make now, double the meals for the babies, baby food, all the diapers to change. And I recognize I can't do everything. You know, they need my attention, and something is gonna give. I think knowing that I'm not trying to be perfect at this, and you know, I know I'm not going to get everything right. That's okay with me. And I think that helps me get through too. Like, knowing that I'm probably going to slack in something, right? But that's okay, because I know I can't do everything. So I'm going to be lacking in something. I think for me, it's just trying to keep the junk down in the house is probably where I know I lack. But everything else, hey, the kids are clean, their hair is combed, right? The baby's clothes are washed, you know, my older girls are good. So those are the things that are important to me. So the balancing act is an everyday thing. I'm okay right now. I might be doing an episode, you know, 4 or 5 weeks from now, and I might be telling you I'm about to pull my hair out because I can't balance it right now. It's a scale. We go up and down, we go up and down, but it's okay. So anybody out there that, you know, if you feel like, you know, you can't find your way, if, you know, you have children and, you know, you just feel like you're falling apart, you can't get it together, just take a step back. evaluate what's most important in your house that really has to be done, and start from that top of that list and work yourself down. The things that aren't as important, leave them where they be and pick them up later. You know, it's okay when you can't do it all, and it's okay to say that. And then just the key, I think, too, is just recognizing if you need a break, if you need somebody to talk to. You know, don't be afraid to do so. It's okay to ask for help. I do it. We all do it. And I think at the end of the day, it makes you a better mom, a better spouse, just a better person, just to ask for help and get some different perspectives sometimes when you need it. And if you don't want unsolicited advice, it's okay to say that too. Listen, hey, I got that. That worked for you when you know, were potty training your child. That worked for you. Or that worked for you when you were feeding your baby, or whatever it is. Okay, good for you. But if it's not working for you, it's not working for me. It's not working for me. And I'm okay with telling you that I'm not going to do it. So this is the balancing act. And I will see you all next time. Thanks for checking in to the Dylan versus Dylan podcast.